Ignore
we're live.
through the door. I can't close.
We are live. Sorry about that. I thought it would have asked me all the stuff again, but it just went. It's my fault. I'm sorry, guys.
And now we know we can check the boxes in advance instead of having to remember when we press the go live button.
Yeah, that really threw me off. I do apologise. I was just trying to upload the video of find the video of me throwing a sausage at Chris G.
Yeah.
Have
we started
MOI?
The MOR for that yet?
No. I'm thinking about doing it and then like filling it in and then printing it on a t-shirt maybe.
For the uninitiated, what's an MOR?
It's a mandatory occurrence report. And it's something that we should all know about as responsible drone pilots. Oh, here we go.
Is that like the big book of accidents that you have at workplaces?
All I'm trying to do is fly, and then this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that sausage.
The PMFA recommend you do that when flying.
This is what happens when you're not hungry anymore and you still have sausages.
Is that an enhancement to the role of competent observer?
Yeah. You just get a sausage thrown at you. Just to
sausage
alert you to any danger, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's good communication aid.
Is there a hazard scale that relates to the type of object or number of objects that are being thrown?
Yeah.
Single sausage
dog
hazard.
walker.
When they start to become bladed objects, that's when you have to really take it seriously.
You might have a police helicopter around you at that point, you know.
Yeah.
In fact, does flinging the sausage increase the risk? Because now you might be sort of attacked by the dog instead of just sort of have a dog walk past you.
Well, if there's a dog that's about to go after your aircraft, you know, get the sausage out, throw the sausage at the pilot, the aircraft is now safe.
Everyone's had that experience of having a dog chasing after the aircraft while trying to land.
Yeah,
you
maybe
can't crash an aircraft when it's already crashed. This is
also. I'm thinking if we didn't have that pesky CAA rule, we could deploy sausages from an aircraft vehicle to the dog.
Well, technically, if the sausages form part of the airframe and they unintentionally become loose, they could still be deployed. It would just have to be a very carefully constructed scenario.
But there was a news story a couple of years ago, right, where they had the sausage on a string underneath a Phantom, and they were using that to get the dog back off the mud flats before the tide came in.
Oh yeah, I forgot they rescued a dog with a sausage. That's hilarious. Anyway, let's start the show. Hello and welcome back. You're listening to Let's Drone Out. Tonight we are joined by our Lord and Master Andrew / Frank.
Good evening.
All hail. Praise be with you. The man with the moustache, Stephen.
Good evening.
And I'm Brightontillifly. And tonight's guest, who we haven't had on for a very long time, and I do apologise about that, is the editor, Chris motherfucking G.
This is what Jack.
This is how he's introduced by Jack everywhere they go.
Yeah. And if you do not address him by his full title,
you told off your neighbours for that the other day. I guess you're on quite good terms with them.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. I don't think they pay a bit of attention. I think they just think I'm a nut job. But hello, Chris G, and welcome back. How have you been?
Welcome.
Yeah, good. Enjoyed that flight that we did at the weekend.
No one got food poisoning.
No. And I still need to make you your 5-star shirt. The hygiene.
Yeah, I know.
I've been going around at work offering out dog poo bin stickers to people. They've been looking at me very perplexed.
Well, Andy RC doesn't exist anymore, does he?
I mean, there was a couple of people who sort of gave me a wry, like, yeah, okay, I get you. Like, I know what this is. But most people, yeah, they didn't really know.
They'd never heard of the dog poop in dive.
See, they all watch Joshua Bardwell, and it's like, well, why? Watch Andy RC.
Well, Andy RC
Everyone
isn't
knows
going anymore. They've got no choice.
Yeah, it's vintage stuff now.
I know. I've now got so
Got
many
me
dog
in
poo. Yeah, so many dog poo stickers that I don't know what to do with, and no one knows, or we don't have no longer have an Andy RC.
Well, you say that, but Andy RC and his mate Phil, well, particularly Phil, sent me this the other day, and so I've got that to Maiden at some point. Little
Awesome.
4-channel thing.
What size prop is that?
I do need to look that up because I think it needs a new one. It's a 9x6.
Chunky.
Has it got a bent shaft on it, like my Acro Watt?
Yeah, slightly.
Nah. Well, you'll notice
Just
that
that's the realistic noise.
Yeah.
Pro tip:
So-
if you have any bent shafts on your planes, if they have 3mm motor shaft diameters, get an old DVD drive, harvest the laser guide rails out of it, and they're 3mm really hard steel, much better than the shafts that usually come in the motors. I've done that a few times now, and it works really well.
Do you have to like cut a little groove in it for like a C clip? Yeah. So you're gonna need a lathe.
No, just use a grinder. Just use a
I
little.
I think at this point I'd probably have bought another motor before I got to the end of the set of instructions.
That's the thing these days. It's too cheap.
Yep.
Back in the day, that wasn't an option.
Yeah. So for anyone uninitiated, Chris G is a friend of the show's and a personal friend of ours, and he is the BMFA on legs, but appreciates and understands new technology and isn't afraid of it. So he's got Is that fair to say that you have like this like BMFA sort of like old school sort of like make it and build it yourself and make do and mend sort of, you know, men in sheds kind of way about him, but he tolerates us idiots. And we learn from him, so the knowledge trickles down, and we're all like, and then slowly we've learned.
Wait, Jack, can we just rewind that? You say we. I think what you actually mean is you.
No, you're scared of PWM. Don't give me that.
I'm not scared of it.
Oh, you wouldn't like to work in
things
that
to do.
company.
Or PWM all the way.
Everything's PWM. Yeah. At some point we'll go digital. But
Wow.
I think it's just a big drone thing. Like they don't like using digital signals yet because of how susceptible they are to noise.
That's kind of the opposite's true because we've had some issues with ESCs and that detect the kind of power on blip as a PWM signal and randomly spin the props, and so now people have actually got the ESCs to lock into D shot and only accept D shot, so that when they arm, when they get the power attached, there's no bursts of noise that can be misinterpreted as a now full throttle, please, which apparently happened in a couple of pilots' hands. It was a bit scary.
But that's all part of the fun, surely.
How big are the props on the drones that you're flying?
40-inch.
Yeah, so not so much a nick as a decapitation.
What it does, it focuses the mind.
Yeah, and the bowels.
Yeah. It's a cure for complacency, I'd say.
Yeah.
And a lack of fiber in
Caroline,
your diet.
I do apologise. You are not included in this. You're very much very, very capable. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Chris G. He's very lovable. You've been doing some wing racing with Frank, and you went to Wales. How did that go, you two?
It went very well. I mean,
I was very impressed with Frank's performance.
Thank you. I took off. I
Racing.
raced. I landed multiple times.
You were able to
I'm
carry
very
the
happy.
aircraft back in more or less one piece.
I wasn't last. It
Much
still
better
flew
than
at
I
the end of
was.
the weekend.
It still flew at the end of the weekend. That's impressive.
Yep. I mean, it had some repairs in the process, but still, I was still flying at the end of it. I didn't have as good a weekend as Chris G. I mean, to kind of illustrate his range, I mean, you were putting the BM, because we were hosted by the Valley Flyers, who are a BMFA club in South Wales, and so they've been going for decades. They've got this field from their local council, and they've got the big gassers and sort of the big hand-built, scratch-built balsa planes and things. They've also got some newer things like some foam board stuff, some foamies. They've got all sorts there. But Chris G gets his Acrobot out and was putting everyone else to shame flying line of sight. Because we were borrowing their field, there was a lot of racing in the morning, and then they had a big slot in around lunchtime so that the club could actually fly, their models, and then we had a load of racing all the way through into the evening and carried on into night flying. And so in that slot in the middle, when there was a quiet moment, Chris G just kind of went up there with his Acrobot, and everyone else like, oh, okay, that's how you're meant to fly.
I love that plane. It flies so well. It makes me look like a good pilot when I fly it. So that's why I fly it.
Yeah. And
Chris
everyone
Foss
was
is an amazing designer. So shout out Chris Foss.
We should get him on the show at some point.
What type of moves are you able to do with that plane that you can't with others then for the uninitiated?
I can do. It's not that I can do anything with that plane necessarily. I can't do with another plane like this 3D printed one behind me. It's just it does it so much better. It's just so much easier. So like knife edges, rolling circles, flying very low inverted, doing low inverted figures of 8 just around the patch, flying inverted through gates. That sort of thing.
Nice.
He's a real G, like Dr. Dre comes on, and then he's just like stall turns, wing overs, everything. You're like, do this, and then he'll just do it.
Yeah.
I sound like a Chris G hype man, but it is truly a spectacle to enjoy.
Yeah, everyone was like joking, like, "Oh, go on, Chris, fly through the gate," and he just flies through the gate, and we're like, "Yeah, all right." Now do it inverted, and just sort of you see Chris just sort of eyeing it up and sort of having a few like passes, and then he does it, and then he's like, for his own, you could tell for his own satisfaction, he had to go the other way as well, just to like, completeness. You need to be able to do it upwind and downwind.
I did stack it on one of those occasions, but Frank's too nice to mention that.
That's all right. No one noticed that bit. You don't remember that bit.
You were all distracting them, I'm sure.
Yeah, we were just diving out the way of the old boys with the massive, great big thing that just kind of almost took out the entire audience.
Yeah, that was a bit dodgy. I was like, where is this going? Keep eyes on this. Circled around the pits.
Yeah, it sort of flew over the pits, over the car park, back sort of below the tree line, through the gate where everyone comes into the field, and then sort of into a big crowd where people were. And sort of everyone's. I just saw people just, these 70-year-old guys just sort of diving out the way for dear life. It's like, oh god. So that's why I think we're tolerated there with the ring racing, because they realise, like, compared to everything they got up to on a day-to-day basis, we're fairly low risk, really.
And we had a couple, about 3 random guys just walking through at one point, right? Looked like they were just walking through a cow field, and then they sort of came across us and like, wow, I've never seen this before, and just sat on the grass and watched us do a few heats, and yeah, I think they loved it. So
Yeah.
I'm all about showing more wing racing to people. I think it's a great spectator sport compared to the quad racing. I think the quad racing is great as a young man's game, but I don't think I'm going to win any championships at this point. But yeah,
I should prompt you early in the show if you have any DVR that you could line up for later or whenever you've got it to hand. It'd be cool for the video listeners to see any DVR if you've got some kicking around.
Yeah,
If you can send me a link via Facebook or whatever to your say your YouTube or whatever, I can play it. So
yeah, I can do. I really don't put much on the YouTube, but let me see what I can
yourself or Frank, whoever managed to snag a couple of clips. It's not like we're looking for hours of it. Just
there is some of that DVR already on that Google Drive that Frank, you've done. I posted on there.
Ooh.
The Acro Watt when you were wearing the
Excellent.
goggles. I think.
will try and dig that out.
Yeah.
Give me a minute. I'll try and dig that out.
I think I've seen a ton of quad racing, and I don't even race, but it'd be interesting to see what wing racing looks like in person.
No, it looks awesome, and
we should.
There's a couple of videos that people come out with the 360 cameras mounted in the start gate, and that always looks really good. Just seeing the whole pack of wings, about 6 of them all at once, just flying past. Proper sort of Top Gun stuff.
Frank, what's the crash? Or have you already mentioned that?
A follow-up question: what's your beer?
Crashes.
The beer tonight is from Long Dog Brewery, and it's called Royal Corgi.
Very nice. I'm on Cursed Parter.
I was horrified at the state of your FPV camera on the on your wing, Chris. Your that was quite interesting.
80s, yeah.
Very, very trippy. I might even get the.
Was it in colour?
It was definitely in colour. Yes.
Technicolor.
Not necessarily the right colours.
No, it's
No,
CCD
not
camera.
the right colours.
It's an old run cam that's CCD, and for some reason, sometimes when you power it on, I don't know why, there must be a slightly loose connection.
Just goes, today it's purple.
Acid colours.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of heats at the race that I had to race like that, and it wasn't fun, but just about managed. Just you bank too far over, and then just everything suddenly goes black.
Oh, jeez.
Chris, do you want to? Can you talk about your little holiday at the thingy hotel?
Definitely,
if you want to.
I will give Spiros as much publicity as I possibly can because he's got an awesome place over there.
Okay, yeah. So Chris has been regaling me of stories of this promised land called, is it RC Hotel?
That's right, and that's like letters RC. Not RC, like, oh, I'm a really RC person. Like,
not in my app.
There.
Okay. Hang on,
You need to see the website. That'll really take.
Is it circa 1989?
Something like that, yeah. But still shows what it's like.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That is quite the website. rchotel.com.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is, it's like Jack says, a bit of a promised land for people who like flying, mostly line of sight, traditional models. But they do tolerate FPV there as well, which is always a good sign. If you actually look at the image on Google Earth, you can see there's an FPV track set up in it, which must have been set up just before I went. But yeah, you basically you go to this. Oh, here we go. Here's my DVR.
He flies like this, people, and all I can say is it's horrendous.
Welcome
preparing
to an
for flying on
alien
Mars.
planet.
Yeah.
No, but you can see where you're going some of the time.
Yeah.
I can't
So-
describe it. Anyone all like listening to this audibly, it's like Kodak film gone wrong.
It
Right.
almost reminds me of the trippy scenes from 2001.
Yes.
More of
Check-
a
check it.
flying.
Yeah, look at his like
The ground is
bank turns
50%
into
blank
darkness.
sometimes. It's just a black void, and you could tell the other bit's the sky because it's purple.
I've never met anyone like you.
If it's
Chris.
not
You're a
green, where the sun is.
fascinating- Yeah. It's madness. And I will warn you that there is strong gales and gusts, and it's so windy. I mean, Frank, bless your little heart, you did have a go, and you were like, nah. You know, once you landed, you were like, nah, this isn't for me. But Chris, it was just pack after pack after pack. We're having a bit of a fundraiser. We want to try and get some Chris G, some decent 2200 packs. So
And we're going to buy him a brand new camera from like 2017 to update his setup.
no, I know.
I think it's.
It's just black. It's just black. There's nothing there. It's like good luck.
But what you need to know is that this plane, I've had this plane since I was 14, so it's kind of appropriate. It kind of just seems to fit. So it's almost like I don't want to change it.
Just
You're
at times I'm
flying by
like, surely
sense
you're
of
about
smell.
to hit the ground. Surely you're about to hit the ground. Like it's just a
That's
big
just-
black thing with a flicker of brown in the middle.
But you just don't look at the black. Like there's no information in the black. You can just look at the rest of it.
Flying by sense of smell.
Man,
There's some pixels there. It's okay.
Oh,
Now
so
that was a good little bash down Hidden Valley, even though it was very windy.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. It was lovely. I mean, you delivered Frank. It was a nice day. We
It
ate
really
like
calmed
kings.
down at the end.
Stuck.
I just wish you'd come down and when it's calm weather and I'm, you know,
Yeah.
we could do a bit of
I'll definitely come down again.
yeah, a bit of you know, Jack tries to fly line of sight, which terrifies me, but it needs to be done.
See if I can convince my friend to come this time, who missed that I got 2 drones stuck in a clay factory. He still hasn't got
this
them back yet.
oh, with a working camera.
Yeah, this is Frank. This is
Oh, this is
how
like
you're
HD.
meant to fly. I know, yeah, I know. HD0.
There's green. There's green in the image.
Very, very windy. Very, very windy.
So,
Yeah.
but,
See,
I mean, there
Frank
was,
is basically circling and doesn't want to go too far in any direction in case he finds himself going against the wind, I guess.
yeah,
Frank
there was
done really
definitely a
well
lot
landing.
of- eventually with this one. But yeah, there was definitely moments where I was like, even backing off the throttle because I thought it was torque roll because I was holding like full stick, like full rolls in it, and it was just barely even staying level and maybe even kicking the other way. And I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible. I have no control over where this is going. So yeah, I had to kind of call it a day fairly quickly until the wind died down.
It did actually die right down at the end. Right at the
Yeah.
end over there.
There's always a way, isn't it? First thing in the morning, last thing in the evening, the wind dies down. And
Yeah.
that's usually when we're not there.
Maybe we need to source some accommodation
Mm.
so that we can make a really good ruddy go at it.
Yeah. Had the same thing with when I was trying to fly a little plane there. And it's like, oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. The wind will
It's
die
me.
down. Jack throws the plane into the air. Big gust comes along. Plane smashes into ground. I'm like, right. Guess I'll get the quads then.
Oh, no, I do apologise about that. Frank did have some success though. Once the wind calmed down.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how powerful that flying fish was.
Yeah, the flying fish is good. I need to get some FPV on that.
It was ripping itself out my hand when I was launching it for you. I was like, Jesus.
Oh, you got one as well. That's the one that I've got, the flying fish.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
2 motors for the win.
Yep. Slightly disappointed it doesn't have differential thrust, but
You could,
it's
you
fine.
can
Can't
wire
you
it
set
in.
that up?
No, because it's got a 2-in-1 ESC that only has one input, as far as I can tell.
Oh,
Can you not make it have 2 inputs? It has 2 outputs.
Well, I mean, I could
Yeah, 'cause
replace
you
it for
literally
2
can't run-
ESCs.
You can't run 2 brushless motors off one ESC, so there's 2 independent ESC. I think
Well, you can, but so long as there's like no difference in the loading whatsoever on one.
yeah,
or
which
the
means
other,
no.
which basically means no. Yes, I've seen people
Thought-
try before.
Yeah, I thought that the adapter it had 2 inputs and the cable was just fudging it.
No, maybe. I didn't
think-
look that closely.
I think that the wiring harness like turns a single pin into 2 wires, so you just need to, mess with the
Okay.
wiring harness.
I'll
and
have
that.
another look at
Yeah.
some point.
But then
There's
I
something-
mentioned this to people in the iNav group, and they're like, don't use a differential thrust, it's poop. So I don't
I
really know
have
what to
heard
think.
that iNav doesn't deal with differential thrust very well, but that's fine. I just
Just
don't
use
use a flight
iNav.
controller.
Yeah.
Well, we've been
Dominic
having
said-
fun with iNav anyway, haven't we, Frank?
did we figure out what was wrong with that?
Yeah.
Oh,
motors
yeah.
went away. I fixed it now.
Oh yeah, your
was wrong with
quad on iNav. Yeah, I forgot about
Oh yeah,
that.
don't run quads on iNav. Like, it's like if you're going to do that stuff, you
should
might
see
as
the
well just run
quads.
RGPilot.
Do you have the quad to hand? Because I feel like it might just explode Stephen's head.
No, it's in the car, unfortunately. I can run and get it if you would really like
Yeah,
me to.
don't we will fluff for you. Me and Frank will fluff. Go, Chris, go.
Right. Okay, talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
So recently, I decided to buy more things.
No,
Oh,
you.
No, surely not. You see, and I put in
Have
a
you
massive
repaired your
order with
flying
CNC
fish?
Madness. I've glued it. It's been sat there because I'm forced to admit that I don't really like the idea of getting wings, and I was basically just buying it to shut you up, Jack. So it stayed on the wall. But yeah, I've a whole bunch of stuff from CNC Madness here. So I've got some camera plates and things to repair, the ones I banged up in Croatia. I've got some spare arms. I've also got this Quad 66's little frame, his 122mm frame.
nice.
I've got an AOS 4 for the 4-inch frame that no one seems to want to sell. And yeah, all sorts of spare bits. So building a 4-inch. Oh, and I've got another 3.5-inch frame here as well. I went a little wild, kind of sat in the Croatian sun and just put in a massive order with CNC Madness, which has now arrived. So I'm going to have to actually build stuff because I've got so much rubbish on the bench now. It's getting silly. There's like a 3.5-inch build that's just sat there. I was going to do this with an 03. But it's just got to the point now where all the stuff that I thought about buying, I've bought, and it's all arrived at once. And now I've just got this huge pile of rubbish on the bench.
Now you've got to build it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that feeling. That's
And I'm
that's
like,
how I
this
end
would
up
be
with.
manageable if I had one thing at a time, but I've now given myself 6 things all at once.
Yeah, and I usually get that situation. I don't know about you. I then end up putting some stuff away so that I don't think about too much at once and focus on one thing. And then I forget about those things that I put away, and then order some
Yep.
other things, and then
Yep.
I never go back to.
That's
touching them again.
precisely why they're staying on the bench until I've fixed the problem.
Yeah, yeah. I might possibly have a bit of a bad habit of starting projects that don't really need to be started.
Tell us about
but,
your little friend.
Yeah. I may have adopted it's an I can't remember how big, 42-inch plotter, I think it is.
Yeah, for our audio listeners, Frank is hiding behind him currently in the camera shot, a giant piece of technology about as wide as his shoulders, but probably 3 meters behind him.
Yeah, it's a 42-inch wide printer, color printer that can print as long as you want, and it's just got a big reel of paper that will print in there. And it was being thrown out of an office near to where I worked, and they were like, "I just need it gone." And I was like, "Yeah, all right, I'll take it off your hands." And they give me loads of spare parts.
It's going to
and
seem
all
like a
sorts.
great idea until the first time you try and buy printer ink.
Well, that's the thing.
don't
It came
complete.
with a load of spare printer ink, and
Oh, well, you just can't say no, can you? You can't say no.
exactly, like load of reel of paper, load of ink. So yeah, I may have taken it all apart and cleaned it and put it back.
Well, we're going to
together
have to
again.
send you some designs for the next LDO event. Then we expect banners.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to do banners. I'm going to do things to tow behind quads. I'm going to do like
yes.
like
Or behind planes. You can
or
just
behind
do
planes.
like a miniature
Micro.
version of the sign carrying plane.
Yes. Yep. Can do that. Going to do all these things. Table covers. Everything. It's all happening. As soon as I put it back together again.
Fantastic.
Looks like Tony's coming out the closet next time I get this mini guinea up and running.
Do a nice flight along the beach with a message. Oh,
Ooh.
what's Chris got for us here? It's a little monster.
That's not a block of C4.
It might as well be.
Probably not. I neither confirm nor deny.
Now, well, there's an interesting build here for our audio listeners. A very proud and exceedingly vertical VTX antenna tops an airframe that is quite tall, with some red bottom motors, a lot of plastic on the front end.
Don't forget the dog poo bin.
Yeah, a dog poo bin on the back, proudly representing Andy RC, and something that looks like a white shrink-wrapped house brick on top of it.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't look like C4.
I should probably write on the side "not C4" in big letters in Sharpie, just so
Not
everyone
C4,
knows.
not cocaine. It's like people just like stabbing it and taking it.
If you're wondering, this is the iNav quad in question. This now has the motors mapped the right way round, which is always helpful.
Did you do that in software or did you desolder them?
No, I did it in software in the end. I just sort of stepped back, thought about it a bit, and then actually understood what Powell, I can never pronounce his last name, is actually trying to say. Yeah. So it's actually quite simple when you understand how to use that motor mixer. I think me and Frank are trying to overcomplicate it.
Sounds bad.
Does it fly any less shit than it did before?
Yeah, it flies. It does return to home, and it does missions, but it doesn't fly where the mission's programmed to fly the mission.
It's creative.
I haven't quite got to the bottom of that. And also the OSD doesn't work.
The AI is taking.
What is the monster VTX setup that's unusually mounted there on the front?
So this wasn't on here when we were at Hidden Valley, but this is an HD0 pod. So I've actually already got 2 FPV cameras in here. Regular run cam in there, facing forward that can't see anything at the moment. And there's a tiny whoop camera facing down, you can see in there, along with this servo cable, which is what I was using to hang long line payloads off of it.
May or may not have been if you're the CIA.
Yeah, well, I can hang a payload off it. There's nothing wrong with that, as far as I know.
Yeah.
As long as the payload is
Don't let it
securely
go.
attached.
Yeah, it's securely attached with a servo wire. I mean, come on.
Well, there you are. And it would hardly affect the flight characteristics, would it? So I can't see that being a problem. That's what gyroscopes are
I
for.
like the homemade camera mount as well.
So now it's got this thing on the front, which I actually took this to RC Hotel, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a minute. This was actually a pod to put on airplanes, so we just instantly add some HD0 capability to them, so I could give passenger eyes to people. I've done FPV before, and they could.
Is it looking directly downward?
So now it's on this quad, looking directly downward, because this is now a search and rescue quad, and I need some high def looking down, so I can find things.
When you take off, does that make it a bit challenging?
No, it's fine. It doesn't really notice it at all. But I do have the analog VTX still running on here, so that's probably not great.
No, but isn't it in front of the HD0 is in front of the analog VTX, which is looking forward. So the only view you have taking off is the ground underneath you.
Yeah, well, no, I just take off line of sight.
Strictly speaking, behind you. Oh, right, line of sight. Okay.
Yeah, but it's iNav anyway. It's got loiter and everything, so it's quite easy. I was using this quad actually to do a bit of training at the weekend down at Popham Airfield, like I do every now and again. Not with this thing on the front of it. We've just added that on there because we've been trying to find things in the field with it.
How does that work?
Good. Well, it would do if the thing wasn't like completely impossible to find. But the view is pretty good, so I think with a more reasonable thing to try and find it, it would find it pretty well. Probably better than a Mavic would, actually. It was a very sharp picture.
Awesome.
The only reason I'm not using something like a Mavic is I had access to a Mini 2, but you can't do waypoints with that, or like go to particular location, not without jumping through a bunch of hoops anyway. But because this has got iNav, I can just send it to a particular lat long where I think the thing's going to be and hover over it.
So you read out your telemetry data from something else, punch it into that, press go, and then you've got a little monitor or something with the HD0 HDMI into it?
Yeah, ideally, yeah. At the moment, I'm just looking in the goggles because all my HDMI cables are broken. But at some point, we'll get it on a screen.
Awesome.
So
are you,
if you lose
have you
anything,
gone for the HD0 goggles?
Yeah, I do. Have I got them around? Might do. Let me see.
It is fascinating, isn't it? Like, he's like, Stephen's like, how do you see anything? And Chrissy's like, with your eyes. Stephen's like, what?
There is no spoon.
You have to have faith sometimes, Jack.
I'm
it will all be okay.
Yep, I'm a firm believer. I'm the Chris G hype man. I'm singing words of.
So were you racing on those? Was that the wing racing set, or were you still racing on the old CCDs?
I was racing on these for the first heat. I think Frank probably saw. That was on the other Striker, and picture was really nice, but it crashed. I can't remember the circumstance of the crash now, but basically the new Striker does not fly as well as the old Striker. So I need to, I think for the next race, just have the old Striker that I have, but it's so repaired now. I don't want to rely on it.
Is there like a bell curve between new and destroyed where you crash it a certain number of times and it becomes more of a known quantity and you crash it too much and it declines?
Yeah, it doesn't decline very much though.
I don't think Chris lets it get that other side. I think it's just constantly pushing. Like the Striker that he was flying.
This thing never dies.
Yeah, it's more glue than foam. I had an issue at one point launching it.
More machine than man now.
Because when Chris just throttled up to launch, just the entire plane moved around the bit I was holding, which made it quite entertaining for everyone else watching, because I realized I couldn't let go because it was now pointing in the wrong direction. My solution to this in the heat of the moment was to basically discus launch it. And people weren't very happy with me just pointing this thing at them.
Yes, I did see a few frames in the camera of me being at full throttle, just with all the crowd's faces in shot.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, oh, no, it's
Fun
fine.
times.
Let's go.
Spectator shot. Let's go.
There's the funky camera, the acid trip camera. So if you want one of them, it's a Runcam Swift 2 with a dodgy connector on the back.
And you've mounted it kind of outside the airframe as well.
Yeah, there's not an awful lot of option. I mean, I could just put it straight in the nose in the front, but I don't rate its chances in a crash very much.
The nose looks heavily modified.
It's like annular rings of a tree.
Really?
It's like
you can tell by the layers of tape.
Foam glue,
yeah,
and tape. So yeah,
It's 170 years
This
old.
plane is 17 crashes old.
it does have an XT60 on it now, though.
Oh,
my
yeah.
God. Thank God for that.
So, Stephen, this is when I first met Chris G. I was like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Because what was it? Was it banana connectors you were
Yeah.
using?
I still use them on a fair amount of things.
You mean like 3mm or is it 4mm plugs? The ones that used for speakers? Is that a 4mm?
Yeah, like the ones you plug in a power supply, but gold plated.
Yeah, the ones
Yeah.
that are currently just out of shot with my
That's
fan running right now.
yeah, that's just what I standardized on back in the day because I learned to not fly, but I learned to build from this old guy called Colin. He's probably not around anymore, and he's
Before they had plastic and injection molding.
yeah, way back when everything was in sepia tone, basically.
I accept they're a good choice for, say, electrical installations like hi-fi speakers that don't tend to move very fast.
Yeah,
That makes sense then. I understand why you might use them.
Mm.
Or on a bench to connect a power supply. On the other hand, things that move really, really fast and tend to crash a lot.
Yeah.
Challenging.
Yeah, but I never claimed it made sense. It's just what I did.
Okay.
It's just what he standardized on, so that's what I ended up standardizing
I
on.
remember when I first
couldn't
looked at
change it.
quads, it was like blackout H-frames and all the motors on bullet plugs. And it just looked like, wow, that's like a whole bunch of wiring.
This isn't the motor
There's
connectors.
a lot.
This is the battery connectors. So you can just accidentally, if you're not paying complete attention,
Polarity, schmalarity.
yeah, you could plug this in the wrong way. You could touch things to other things that shouldn't be.
Well, it's like the
And-
cool
and
of
the
the void
cool of
that
the
Jack was
void.
talking about. Yeah.
The Cool of the Void, where you can plug the battery in on itself.
Oh, man.
Because Jack was looking at Tony's giant batteries, and because they're designed, you get like a 4S or a 6S pack, and you never run it as that. You run it as like a 12S or a 14S or something. They're all designed to be daisy chained in series, and so therefore the batteries just come with, a male and a female, one positive, one negative, and it's like put them close to each other, and so in your mind goes, do it. And just got to resist the call of the void.
It really does say. But I do praise the day that I ran into Chris G and was like, holy shit, Hobby King, he had XT60s on it. And I was like, you all right, Chris? And he's like, yep, plugged something in wrong and I've gone back to it. So now he's got like even shorter fucking wires on everything. Sorry for swearing, editor. But yeah, finally, at last. How many XT60s do you reckon you've cut off in your life?
A lot. Not just XT60s, EC3s,
Deans.
everything. Definitely Deans, yeah. Who uses
Deans.
Deans?
Cheap RC cars.
Yeah. I saw a parallel charging board the other day that was all XT60s and then one Deans connector at the bottom.
Yeah, I know. It's
What?
the worst,
Terrible
isn't
idea.
it?
Yeah.
It's like it wiggles a bit loose, and they're both totally exposed. Like it's just like, oh yeah, that's where all the current's happening, and like, yeah, that's fine.
Lick it.
Yeah, Dean's connectors terrify me. It just looks like, yeah, this was a great idea in the 70s.
It's good that the hobby is finally standardized on something, and it's actually something good, like the XT60. Something that makes sense. Like it's got that vacuum seal to it and everything.
Yeah, something that's like you only actually have electrical connection at a point when you can't jam something in from the side and hit the terminals.
Yeah. Yeah. I use the XT90s on my e-bike as well, which is great. Like I'm not actually pulling 90 amps, but they're useful, say in the winter, you're wearing gloves and you find it hard to handle things. These big chunky connectors are quite nice.
Yeah, I had to, when I was over in Croatia the other week, I had to solder on some XT90s. So luckily I bought my soldering iron with like super chunky tip, and put some XT90s on some like a mobility scooter batteries that someone had, like lithium iron phosphate batteries. They're useful for
Yeah, nice.
like charging packs and things. The field packs.
Yeah, nice. Oh, so I was going to tell you guys about RC Hotel, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Got
It
a site-
looks.
Your little
The website looks interesting.
So it's in Corfu, and it's basically a hotel. And you go there, and there's planes there for you to fly, so you don't have to worry about bringing anything at all with you if you don't want. So personally, I just bought a tiny little case with my Whoop and my HD0 in it, and that was it. But other than that, I just flew their planes there. So they have a couple of Acrowatts there as well, which again I rate. I actually flew one there to begin with because this is the second time I've been there. That's what made me buy my own. But they got a bunch of other things as well. I was flying some helis, flying some pattern ships, a few EDFs as well. I very rarely fly anything that's got retracts and flaps on it, but I did do that a bit there as well, which is always interesting. It's just like a couple of extra things to have to remember on every flight. When you're flying line of sight, you don't necessarily know whether you've got the flaps or the gear down when you're out on the base leg of the approach. So, it's good. He's got a pool there.
Sounds pretty serious.
Yeah. He's been going since 2000. The guy who runs it's called Spiros. Really nice guy. Always will sort anything out for you. And he has really good food there as well. So yeah, can't really rate it highly enough. So if anyone likes line of sight flying or wants to do a bit of FPV as well, probably not like if you want a completely FPV holiday, but if you want a maybe a bit of a mix or an LOS holiday, then it's definitely a good place to go. And fairly reasonable prices as well.
So our comprehensive fleet of models consists of the typical models you'd see at most clubs. We try to include planes and helicopters to suit the needs of our guests at whatever standard they wish to fly at. However, for competitive or high standard 3D helicopter flying, we suggest you bring your own model, which you're experienced with. The fleet consists of electric or internal combustion models, trainers, sports, aerobatic gliders, powered and unpowered scale. The choice is yours. There we are. So yeah, sounds like they've got a pretty impressive fleet.
a little tail dip in the pool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite hot out there. Now, the funny
Maybe
thing
it's a
was,
lot,
I went out there, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Duncan McClure. Have you ever heard that name? No, he's basically the examiner of the examiners for the southern area in the BMFA. So if you want to do any of your BMFA certificates, like your A or your B or whatever, he's the guy who kind of trains the guys who do that. And he regularly goes to RC Hotel. And as I say, I've been there twice now. And he was there both times, just by chance. And it turns out that I could have done my multi-rotor B certificate there, which is the only one I haven't done yet that I want to do. And if I'd bought my quad with me, I could have done it right there and then. And I was going to. And I decided not to at the last minute. So I only had my Whoop with me. And considering one of the maneuvers is a loop outside, I don't think that would have worked.
We've got to do a loop. I should read up what's in that test.
What line of sight?
Yeah.
You don't have to line of sight the drone stuff, do you?
If you want to do multi-rotor B test, yeah, that's line of sight. There is obviously the FPV test that you can do as well, like Frank was saying to me the other day, which I haven't done yet. But I might do at some point.
But you can loop a Whoop. It's just like not going to be a very impressive loop. It's going to be more of a kind of tumble with aggressive recovery.
My one's got bad batteries and it's weighed down by HD0 on it, and I have to do it outside, so probably not.
Yeah, surely there's a weight limit you got to meet.
There probably is, yeah. With the planes, you have to have at least a 1 kilo plane to do either of the tests.
1K. That's the weight of Tony.
Not sure what it is for quads.
I think it's no more than 3.5K for quads.
So,
Yeah,
Frank, you coming to the next wing race?
When
Or
is the
not?
next wing race? I can't remember.
It's
And where?
sometime in August, and it's again in Wales. They're just always in Wales, apparently. Carmarthen Model Club, I believe. It's on IFPV and on the Wing League site.
Is that a no from Chris?
I mean, if I can, I will. Wings over Carmarthen, 18th to the 20th of August. There we go. I'll try and swing that.
And I think there's another one in September at some point. We were hoping to have a bit of wing racing at the Popham show as well, but I don't think that's going to work out. But what we are definitely going to have now, so I've been talking to Paul Jaggers, the whoop guy. He's, well, some people, him and some other people, they are keen to put some whooping on at the show, which I think will be a pretty good idea. Because if it starts raining, then everyone has to come in the tent and watch the whooping. So we have captive audience.
Yeah, because you've got the big tents there, right? Still.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll be fantastic to fly whoops in. It's criminal that there hasn't been just an entire weekend of whoop racing in those tents already.
Yeah.
I think it's almost criminal that no one's done a whoop event called Whoop Your Ass. That could be a competitive series.
Yeah. And we'll probably have the model railway guys next to us as well again.
Okay.
I
I imagine they have a hard time carrying their models to the field, don't they?
Yes. Yeah. They backed their car into the tent last time, which wasn't fun.
Oh dear.
How do you know you've gone round the flags?
Not doing it like that.
Yeah.
No, I've got some Frank's DVR of his YouTube thing. It's I don't know if there's a particular race. It looks like all of the races are in there, Frank. Is there
a
specific one you want to show?
I don't know. In the description, there's the timestamps of some and my result. I think I put that in the description.
It seems very out of focus.
Oh yeah, I mean this is this was
Wales, not in focus.
This was late at night. It was not this bright outside of the goggles. I'll tell you that.
Hence the LED lights.
Yeah, so the LEDs are on. This is.
I mean, they're amazing.
First time I took it out of the bag for probably since we flew it for my birthday the other year. So maybe
is this a genuine pre-OSD quad?
Oh yeah.
This is Tom Stanton.
Yeah, this is the prototype one that you got me from off the back of a lorry somewhere.
Yeah. iDrone, believe it or not. Yeah, iDrone gave me one, but yeah, it was I'd already sourced a frame by the time I got it. So then Frank got it.
Yeah.
If you want to see some footage of the wing racing, have a look at try and find High Taft's video. He did a good video of with the 360 camera in the gate and the demolition round at the end where everyone's just flying at once.
That was good. Although
is it HIGE?
So bad. I just HIGHCAFF.
That's it.
I'm guessing Welsh.
Yes, very.
As in the River Taff.
Yeah, the demolition round at the end was very scary. The RF environment was not comfortable. I didn't find it comfortable anyway. So I after about half a lap, I think I just ended up just going to altitude and circling and just feel like I'll just wait for everyone to be done.
Is this the right one?
That's probably it. But I think it's about 6 minutes in. You see the 360 camera. Oh, wait, no,
It's only a 5 minute.
No, it's not that one. Hang on, let me find it quick. I will find it.
About 6 minutes in. The video's 5 minutes, Chris.
Just do it anyway. High tech.
Hang on, I'll share the screen. You tell me which one. Yeah.
So I've got one here that's
left
9
of it, left of it, right of it.
No, I'm going to get feedback if I do that.
There you go. This one, and you want 6 minutes in.
Wait.
Is this it,
That's
Chris?
the 360
Yes,
camera,
yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah. There we
Jolly
go.
good. We got it. I mean,
That's
is
me
oh my
straight into
God.
the gate.
Can you
Hey, well done, Frank. How
can you
bad
get
was
the
that?
Yeah, I just
sound
saw
on
that
as well?
top of the gate.
Go back to 6 minutes and get the sound on. It sounds really good when they come through the gate.
When they hit the gate, you mean?
Yeah.
Have you got the audio?
I don't have audio.
Hang on. I think. Hang on. Stop. Present. What is it? Video. No.
But I did very much enjoy the live stream that was put on by WRL UK, Wing Racing League UK. That was a very, very fancy setup they had, and
This one?
they had the instant
stream.
replay button that was very good.
Yeah,
Was
that's got audio, man. Yeah, that works.
Cool.
One, two.
That's me.
Oh, the thud
Well
of
done, Frank.
satisfaction.
I just love it. I mean, how good is this for spectators? This is just brilliant.
It's pretty cool.
You can actually see it. The other
For
side
all
of the
the
track
viewers, we have a
without,
360-degree camera just before the gate of the start-finish line, and they are screaming round.
I'll post a link in the chat. That is just so impressive. They are tearing through, as you can hear. And Frank's slap. Was your wing all right from that?
Oh yeah, I did that a bunch of times over the weekend. It's fine. It just bounces off.
How you do the sharp cornering, right, Frank? Just a little tap, get the tail out.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this like human controlled, or is this like you know, it's sort of like
Yeah,
views
it has to be
movement?
in manual modes. That's a stipulation of the race. You're not allowed to
The camera.
stabilize or act.
The camera, I think.
No,
They
it's
Oh,
the
do that
camera,
the
with
yeah.
camera. I have no idea.
How the heck's it tracking them?
Yeah, it looks like it's like scanning for movement. Doesn't seem very human. Bloody hell.
That
Can you
was
tell
Chris.
which one you are, Chris?
He's
Oh,
the one
yeah,
with
that's
the
Yeah,
two
it's the
tails.
high pitched one. The high pitch one's me because I'm the only one running 3-blade prop.
Mm.
So you just hate your battery, basically.
Apparently so.
Also, Frank informs me that you had the most impressive turnaround times from crashing and repairing.
Well, I didn't really have
Have
a
you-
choice.
He's fast on the
that
tape.
other
that
striker
boy.
was so out of action. I tried gluing the. I didn't bring that one in, but I tried gluing the other striker back together that I have, the more modern one, and came up to race time before the glue was set. So I had to go give it to one of the club members who was sitting there watching. I was like, "Hey, can you just like hold this together?" Like the entire plane was just in half. So I glued it together with some 5-minute epoxy. I was like, "Hey, can you hold this together?" And then I did the race with the other striker. I came back, bless him, he's still sitting there holding this thing together. I was like, thank you. It's set now. But the wing was like that.
Like a banana.
Yeah. So it flew,
stop-
but not very well after that.
Stubbsy's comment tickled me. He was like a hot gluing machine.
Custom jig for this job. Are you up to it?
Yeah, Stubbsy also did very well on that event. It was a good event. Hopefully the next one will be that good. But the club was very hospitable to us. That was the highlight, I think, with the barbecue and whatnot. And a clean loo as well. We had a clean portaloo. Would you believe it? You don't get that at Western Park.
Well, that's because I'm there.
Making your mark on all 26 of them.
Well, mate, I can get through 26
in a
half
morning.
Hour. In the morning. Right, unfortunately, that is all we got time for. Dom, let me know when you're around. We are going to try and get you on for a show. Let us know when you're free, and we will try and book you in. I don't know what our time scale is, but yes, that should be good to have you. Yeah. Chris G, it's always a pleasure having you on. Stay in touch if you can. Come down again soon.
No, thanks for having me. It's an honor.
And thank you, man. Like, I'm truly touched. It's great having you. You really do feel like the olive branch that we wish the BMFA had for us instead of the shitty end of a stick. Which is understandable, seen as we're the reason that, anything's ever bad happens in the world.
We really?
Drone flyers, yes, totally. Clueless, careless criminal, that's us. Anyway, on that note...
Thank you for Frank as well joining us. Really great to see you. Great to see your new place is shaping up.
Yeah,
hope to
it's
see more from you.
Vaguely flat shaped now. That's good.
Frank, can I share
again, man?
Can I share the mental image of you washing up your
Where's this
I
going?
don't know.
Where's this going?
Yeah, don't mind me just washing up my printer.
Oh yeah, can I do?
I'll download it and open it, and so Frank's been this just as like a little bit of bonus content. Frank has been washing up with a toothbrush his printer. This is the level of dedication. Just like to point out
some bits out of this printer in the kitchen sink with a toothbrush. Yeah,
Yeah. Where did Frank go? I know it's lovely to have you back on.
Absolutely.
But anyway, thank you to all our wonderful Patreons. You're the guys that help
keep us going.
This show. Yeah, the show edited. Gets all the nasty, horrible words out. So a general tidying up. So any of you audio listeners who listen to this regularly on the audio, if you want to help us out by sponsoring us, come join the Patreon. You get bonus pods and after-hour interviews and stuff. You've been joined by our Lord and Master and our Saviour, Andrew / Frank.
Bye.
The man with many names, Shiny Video Stuff, Belric / Stephen.
Cheers. Bye.
I've been your deranged host, brightontillifly, and our special guest for tonight, the lovely, the wonderful. Can't all the BMFA Socks and Sandals Brigade be more like Chris G? G stands for gangster.
Thanks, Chris.
See you next time. Thanks very much.
No. Thank you. Good night.